Financial Planner. Follow us on YouTube.
Cabal's desperation level is off the charts. What's next? Let's get into the economic collapse, political and geopolitical news. Now, we know that Mueller is still pushing forward with the investigation, and so far, throughout this whole entire time period, nothing really has been done. He can't find any evidence of Russian collusion, and Larry Klayman, a former prosecutor of the U.S. Department of Justice, founder of Judicial Watch and now Freedom Watch, and is the current general counsel and chairman, has filed a complaint before the Office of Professional Responsibility and Inspector General of the Department of Justice, demanding an investigation and the eventual removal and prosecution of Special Counsel Robert Mueller for his and his conflicted staff, which are basically Democrat Clinton political campaign donors and supporters in large part. And we can see right now that he is pushing for this because what we're seeing is that the special counsel had previously done legal work for Michael Flynn's company, Ironbridge, and Mueller right now is equally conflicted with what he's doing right now. And Larry Klayman is out there saying, listen, there's too many things going on here, too many conflicts of interest, and he needs to be removed from this investigation. And so far, after all these interviews and everything, so far they can't find Russian collusion at all. Now, moving towards Cuba, something very strange happened. And there was this sonic attack in Cuba, and they're saying that it hit the embassy there in Cuba of the United States, and it injured or people didn't feel well, and it looks like 21 individuals, Americans, were affected by this. And U.S. Secretary of State Rex Tillerson said that they're considering closing down the U.S. Embassy in Havana following this unexplained incident. And Cuba is saying, we don't know what you're talking about. We didn't put this sonic blast at the embassy. We didn't do anything like this. We don't know what happened. And this is very interesting, and nobody could really explain what actually happened. Maybe this was a CIA operation. Maybe this something else was going on. But right now, Cuba is denying it. They're looking to shut down the embassy, and this looks like something was very, very strange that was occurring. Out in Spain, we can see the protest and the movement to have this referendum is really picking up steam. There's about 700 Catalan mayors who are out there saying that, yes, we want this referendum, we want this to move forward, and Spain is doing whatever they possibly can to stop this, but it is not working whatsoever. Lavrov is going to meet Venezuelan, Brazilian, Cuban top diplomats. They're going to be talking about the situation and what is going on here. We know that Venezuela is moving away from the dollar. They're going to be using the yuan, and we can see they'll be bypassing the dollar completely. And of course, Lavrov is probably going out there to talk about all of this, especially with Brazil and Cuba. We also see that Lavrov and Tillerson, they're going to meet to talk about Syria and Ukraine at the UN General Assembly. And we can see that the situation out in North Korea, the situation out in Ukraine, the situation in Syria, well, a lot of things happening right now, and it is not going well for the cabal. Basically, they are in desperate mode right now. Now, we know that they're out there pushing the idea that North Korea is going to be attacking. South Korea is getting ready to protect themselves from an EMP, from a biological weapon attack, and they're afraid that, North Korea is going to hit Guam. Well, the only way this is going to happen is if the cabal actually does this and create this event, blaming it on North Korea. So the cabal had US B-1B supersonic bombers together with F-35B stealth fighters, and they conducted a joint military exercise with South Korea in response to the missile launch. And again, we're seeing this happen on both sides. They're provoking each side. North Korea is not going to do anything except continue on with the missile program, continue on with their nuclear program, because they understand that if they stop, there will be regime change. And they're not going to stop, no matter how many different sanctions they place on North Korea. Now, Nikki Haley, she is really having a complete meltdown right now, because she's saying that sanctions do not work against North Korea. we should go to the next option, that is invasion. And we can see that she's also out there saying that, listen, Defense Secretary James Mattis, he's going to handle the invasion. He's going to handle all of this. And she said, listen, we cut trade by 90% with North Korea, 30% of oil, and I have no problem kicking it to General Mattis because I think he has plenty of options. But Nikki was not done with just that. She's also threatening a war on North Korea, which again would likely leave thousands upon thousands of people dead, even U.S. troops. She's also talking about U.S. regime change in Syria, where Assad should be removed. He must go. And she is just desperately out there regurgitating everything that has been said in the past, because what we see happening right now is they are losing their grip. Because at this point, the whole thing is just falling apart. I mean, think about this. South Korea, well, the state-run Korean Gas Corp, the world's second largest single buyer of liquefied natural gas, says it plans to import natural gas from Iran. So even South Korea right now is going to be dealing with Iran. Everything that they tried to do is completely falling apart. And also, there was a $2 billion contract that was signed with South Korea to help boost oil processing capacity, and this has to do with Iran. And we can see right now, all these countries are making deals. They're making deals because they see that the dollar will no longer exist. The U.S. power, well, it's disintegrating. The cabal, their grip is disintegrating, and they realize that they need to protect themselves. Now, just a couple of reports ago, we talked about how the Pentagon was supplying weapons to all the paid mercenaries in Iran and Syria, and this report came out, and the German government has opened a probe into the illegal Pentagon arms trafficking operation after this report was released. And now they're looking into it, and they are trying to figure out what was happening. And I think a lot of these nations might have been kept in the dark of what was really going on and how the cabal was controlling everything and making these countries believe that these were independent terrorist groups that were actually creating terror in these countries. But in reality, guess what? They were controlled, funded, supported by the United States and certain individuals in the intelligence agencies. We see the Nusra Front, the Islamic State, saying, listen, we're not going to give up. We're going to fight to the death in Syria. Well, I'm going to tell you right now, that's not going to take too long, because we can see that Syria and Russia, they are making huge gains in Syria. It is almost over for the cabal. We see the elite Syrian troops. They have reached the east bank of the Euphrates in Dier Ezor. We also see large cargo planes coming in from Syria. They are now landing at the Dier Ezor military airport, bringing in supplies and equipment to fight the Islamic State. They've gained control of the airport, which they haven't had control of the airport for a very, very long time. And now we see that they've gained control of this entire area. It's only a matter of time, I'm thinking months right now, until Syria is completely cleansed of the paid mercenaries. The Islamic State, al-Nusra, the Syrian Democratic Forces, they're just being strangled right now. And eventually, and I think this is going to happen in the next couple of months, where Russia, Syria, Iran, they're just going to come out and say, listen, there is no need for the United States, the coalition forces, to be in Syria. You need to leave now. And what is the United States going to do at this point? Well, they're going to have to leave, because the sovereign country of Syria, with an elected president, has removed all the terrorists. And that president in Syria can say, these countries are now invading our country. And this is going to be a big problem, because on the world stage, everyone's going to look at this and say, wait, what is going on right now? There's no reason for any of these countries to be there. And believe me, China and Russia, they're going to make a huge deal of this. And they're going to bring it up at the UN, and most of the countries are going to say, you need to leave. And it's game over. So what do we see happening right now? We see the cabal is desperate. Nikki Haley, she is just going crazy. She is part of the cabal. All they have left right now is North Korea. And again, like we've said in the past, they will push this until the very end. And they are running out of time, because what we see happening right now is the entire economic system is completely breaking down. Trade is going to come to a halt. The system is going to break down. Everything that we know is going to be revealed as, whoa, what happened just to the economy? You mean these numbers aren't true? The stock market is really not doing that well? Companies aren't bringing in the revenue and the sales? The economy is a lot worse than what we've been told? This is what happened in 2008. All up to that point, when the market came down, everyone believed that everything was fine. Yes, they explained away why people were leaving their homes in California. They explained away why the subprime securities are contained right now. They explained away why Bear Stearns, or hidden why Bear Stearns, Lehman, why they were in trouble. They told us that AIG only needed one bailout and other banks would only need a little bit of a bailout, and stimulus would only go for a certain period of time. The whole thing was a lie. And we've been following this, we've been tracking this for a very long time, and we realize right now that all of this is a lie. We've been looking at the real economic information. We've been looking at what has been going on in the Middle East, and we've said from the very beginning, once the Middle East falls, the dollar will fall with it. And we reported on how the people were rising up, how these countries didn't want the United States in there, how if these people take back their countries, they will deal outside of the dollar. What is happening right now in front of our eyes? Venezuela, Syria, Iran, China, Russia, and many other countries are moving in this direction. It's not like, oh, it just happened. This has been happening all along. And more countries are joining in. Libya eventually is going to announce that they're going to be selling the oil outside of the dollar. Lebanon is going to do the same. Iraq, they already have plans to do this. And many of the South American countries, they are also going to do this because they're part of the BRICS system. And we're starting to see how this is all coming together now. And once the dollar starts to fall apart and is devalued, and these dollars float back to the United States, we're going to see things really accelerate. And it looks like we are headed towards that time period. And this is why you need to be prepared. Now, I'm not saying get rid of your dollars. I'm saying you should hold some of these dollars outside of the banking system because, again, they still have plans to make it look like we're being attacked somehow, some way. This is their plans. They're still in place. And they're going to freeze the banking system. This is why they created the bail-in documents. Remember those. They didn't create them for no reason. They're going to use them. So you're going to need the dollars to hold. You're going to need them to hold on to, because once the system comes down, you're going to use that first. You're going to go out and say, okay, as prices go up, actually as the value of the dollar goes down, you're going to have to pay with cash. Once nobody has cash anymore, well, you might go into the barter type of system where, listen, I have toilet paper, I'll take that meat. Once that breaks down, you might go into maybe gold and silver. Or you might combine both of them. But you can see that you're going to need all of this. And actually, you're going to need supplies. And I'm not saying this is going to happen in a month and the next week you're going to go to barter. This will be a long period of time. So if you have like $100 or $200 in cash on hand, I would ramp that up a little bit and try to get as much silver as you possibly can. Even have cryptocurrencies, because when the system comes online, we know that they're going to be moving to a crypto type of system, a blockchain technology to trade currency. It might be backed by silver. We don't know as of yet, but it's nice to have all your bases covered. So you need to have the supplies in your home protected, because it's going to serve two purposes. One, it's going to help you survive. The other, you can use it for bartering. And also, you can help your friends, your family, if they don't have much. And this is why we've been preparing for a very long time. And we can see right now, once this system and these trade wars start, guess what? It's going to be very, very difficult to get supplies in. I mean, look at the states of Texas and Florida, where a lot of the shelves in supermarkets, they're still empty. They can't get products in. And people can't get certain items. Now, take this and expand this to a credit freeze, to a trade war, to the economy deteriorating and falling apart. What is going to happen? You don't want to be stuck. And those people that are in Texas and Florida, they understand what I'm talking about. Because when you went to the gas pump, when you went to the supermarket, that feeling of desperation set in. Okay, I went to the pump. You know, the premium gas is gone, the mid-level gas is gone, and there's only one pump with unleaded. And there's a line that is backed up for miles. I can't get fuel now. What do? And this is what's coming. And we can see it coming. We've been tracking it. We've been following it. We know it's coming. This is why you need to be prepared and ready for what is coming.